of the my own project where we work on these kind of observability tech stack, setting up multiple BFSI as well as other side of similar requirement to deliver observability solution. And I believe in the recent time what we have observed, Grafana with some uh, similar technologies being taken up are getting accepted onto the wider range. And this program will be more on Grafana. We'll definitely gonna talk about other backend technologies which will be partnering with a Grafana tech stack. Yeah. So if still we have someone to introduce, they can feel free to unmute and give a quick input on their name and expectation. If not, let's get started with or a quick demonstration and walk through. It will be kind of more onto the program. And yes, with time, initially we'll start with some conceptual conceptual build up, and then when we'll start progressing, we'll be more into demonstration, and we'll try to go into the depth at the extent which will be beneficial for marking us real good in terms of Grafana capabilities. Let me share my screen so that we can talk about what we are going to cover within this program, and give you a glimpse of some initial
Yeah,
stuff
Sumit,
associated with
Sumit,
Grafana.
okay,
Yeah.
Sumit, thanks for that. So at the end of the session, just try to
Hmm.
give us the view on like how we can leverage this tool in terms of monitoring the capabilities as well as working on the observability capabilities. Okay,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. So because both are different, right? So many times we will be in a perception of both in a similar line, but at the end of the day, it's different.
That's correct. And down the lane, I believe that that will be covered within our discussion. Uh, yeah, but I'll make sure to cover that
Yeah,
up
just
within
try
this
to plan
discussion
that
itself.
so that you can take away this complete overview.
Sure. Anyone can give me a quick confirmation if they are able to see.
Yeah, can I able to see?
Okay. So this is short of what we are going to cover. I'm expecting that most of us must have went through this already, but I'll gonna take some time to give give a bit of a little bit more that what we'll be covering within our this particular program. So first foremost would be getting started with Grafana. So here we'll be developing understanding that what Grafana is all about and how this will be enabling what Madhu said rightly onto the side of whether it's a observability solution or it's a kind of a monitoring solution, and if we are targeting onto the both end, how it can enable any organization. So this is what we'll be covering within getting started with Grafana. And if we have any similar solution in the market where Grafana does stand, and then we'll be talking about installation, where we'll try to go on to the cloud stack as well, but our focus will be uh, a self-manage where we'll be utilizing Grafana open source. Okay. So before talking on to this open source, uh, how many of us like let's make this demo a bit of interactive, interactive, so that there can be maximize takeaway, not just getting known to like what we are discussing and what the program is all about. Okay, so how many of us being aware that in what form Grafana is available, and do we have like anyone here who is actively working with Grafana?
I
Yes,
mean, you
no,
mean to say what
or
form in the sense like, is it a web application or a desktop application?
uh, uh, no, not like that. Like what
No.
sort of like implementation they have in their organization if they are using it,
So let me
and
chip in here. So Sumit, what we have is like, so we have different sources of data where we'll be collecting the telemetry logs, right? So we have
mhm,
Prometheus, we have APM tools, Splunk, and etc. etc. Okay, I'm not sure if this is like if you have heard like Satorium, no, it's my internal organization, database. Okay, where we collect all of this data, and this gets feeds. So it can be in a different formats, like to data collecting from the agents for infrastructure, then for Kafka or application services for database and databases and etc. All this will be collected and feed it to one particular repo. So from there we will be piping it to Grafana to have this visualization. Okay, it's just like to
okay,
you pipe the data into the Grafana and start looking at the dashboards. Or from there, once you pipe in, then we use Netcool to create incidents or tickets towards the your incident management tool to use a reactive approach or a proactive approach. Okay, but
got it.
I'm just confused, like how can we leverage it at a level of observability? Because monitoring capability is yes, yes, it's giving you some kind of data, right? Because we don't have the scope of drilling down into the issues, right? To identify the root cause. Let's say I have an issue somewhere at a level of SQL, right, or a LRQ, long running query, or a deadlock. I'm unable to capture those data points, right? Or at an application layer, let's say if my class or method or my bean or something is identically taking more, or it's trying to cost me effectively, and I'm unable to figure it out in terms of observability. So my problem here is like, how can I effectively start using as an observability tool rather than a monitoring tool?
Got it. So we'll gonna deep dive on it in our upcoming session, and we'll gonna not just understand Grafana, as I said, as a like core solution, what it can offer, as well as once we'll start deep diving, we'll understand its limitation too. It's pretty much like accepted solution in the market when it comes to like open source as well as enterprise tech, but it does come up with like certain limitation as well. So we'll kind of like learn about that too. So with this, I'll introduce first that what are all different solution Grafana offers, and what are different modes of implementation it offers as a product. So we may have seen generally these products come up with either self-manage or a managed solution. So when I say like self-manage means where we're gonna like get a binary and we're gonna like follow our own implementation technique, whether it could be on-prem or on private cloud or using a public cloud anywhere. So that is self-manage. And for self-manage, we have two different mode. One is open source, which can be, there will be no active support provided by Grafana, but again, it's free of cost. Okay, and yeah, definitely it comes up with like certain restriction, which we'll gonna like talk about that too. Second is a managed solution, a fully managed solution offered by Grafana Labs, and it's a It's a SaaS solution, what we refer. So that comes up with like a whole lot of like additional capabilities, and it's a full-fledged observability solution, what Madhu were looking forward to. So when we say like observability solution, it does gives us opportunity, to gather all different or all different pillars i- of the observability. Okay, before that, I'd like to introduce everyone with the concept this observability and where it exactly been evolved. So when we say like observability, it's basically a evolved form of monitoring. And monitoring, you all know, it's more or less a reactive approach to any issue with the system, which is known to us, and simply looking onto those parameters. That what we call the reactive approach. Now we are moving into the stage of called left shift paradigm, where we are not more focused on to the reactive side, but we want to be like a little proactive and some sort of like adaptive too, where and not that just that we are looking forward to a kind of like adaptive concept of monitoring, but at the same time we are observing that the complexity of the systems into this is being increased from the earlier time, where most of the application were developed with the monolithic approach, and now we are moving into this stage where most application are moving into the microservices side. So we know that these microservices are complicating the whole system, and if we'll try to see the inner state of any application which has like multiple microservices running, then it looks simply difficult to follow this reactive approach, knowing the internal state of the system just with simple you know earlier monitoring solution approach. So for that, what we need some sort of like capability which will enable us to look into the system and identify the state or make it like more observable, okay, in terms of its health. And how we can enable that through three core um, three core um, data that can be bought up by any solution, and then collectively we called it like observability solution. So what these three parameters or three important pillars we can say which builds observability is one is logs, other one is metrics, and then traces. So these three system all together make any complex system even more observable than just a monitoring solution. Okay, so Grafana is one of the solution which enable any organization to look onto these three pillars. Okay, again, as I said, like Grafana itself doesn't have any native query technique. Okay, and that's a side of limitation. So before jumping onto that part, let's go more onto the side of this program, and then we'll keep on talking on those areas. So the very first, as I said, like module one, where we're gonna like learn about getting started with Grafana, understanding that what are different deployment techniques available in the market and different products offered by Grafana. Then we'll deep dive onto the installation part this on different platform. Majorly, we'll gonna like cover Linux-based implementation, and that will be self-managed so that everyone gonna like have their own kind of like lab available to them, which can be utilized throughout all the program for deep diving into the concept of Grafana. And then it will last with understanding the UI of Grafana, that how Grafana interface look like, where are all different features available with it, and then we'll move with the data sources, because that would enable us to explore Grafana and understand Grafana that how we can utilize this technology or utilize this tool to meet our existing or upcoming requirement in terms of observability as well as monitoring. So within that, we'll be learning with different data sources. Since it's a limited type program, we can't like cover many of the data sources which are available. And second, since we'll be focusing on open source solution, it does comes with like certain restriction which will not permit us to go with the enterprise level integration. But yes, down the line, if we have to discuss something, incorporate something, we'll gonna like look into that too. So majorly we'll be using Prometheus as a data source. We're gonna like use AWS and MySQL. Then we'll go with getting started with dashboarding, where we'll understand that what sort of like layout should look good and what are all visualization we can add in. And then we'll get into depth with like understanding the dashboard with a dedicated module where we learn about what sort of like best practices we should follow while creating a dashboard, what panel configuration and how we can leverage JSON or any other technique to incorporate those to a dashboarding concept in Grafana. And last would be templatizing the dashboard, which will enable it like a more generic form of creating dashboard for a data source. So I'll take a pause here if anyone have any question or any input.
Yeah, Sumit Amar here. For data
Hmm.
source, most people use InfluxDB also, right?
Yes, it's open source. So yeah, you're gonna
Mm.
like see Influx TV.
No, we cover that as well, or?
We can cover that. It's not. It's similar to like if we'll go with Prometheus, it's a time
Hmm.
series database.
Yeah.
Similar to that, even Influx TV is having the same time series database concept. So we
Okay.
can incorporate. Yeah,
Okay.
Screen it is
anyone there?
showing blur. For me only it is showing blur or in all people.
It is clear for my end. I can view
I
it
will
clearly.
zoom in, right? So you can zoom in the
Okay.
web page.
Hi Sumit, Priyanka here.
Hi Priyanka.
Yeah, so how different it is from Splunk? I mean, we have Splunk storage, right, where we can query
Mhm.
and extract the things that we need. So how we'll be doing that in Grafana? What would be the storage? I mean,
Okay, so uh, you did ask like two questions here. First of all, like how Grafana is different than Splunk, correct? Is that the first ask?
yes.
Okay. So Splunk, when we look onto the Splunk enterprise, it's a log aggregation solution. It's not a observability solution. Okay. So again, and Splunk has a different technique to work. And second, Splunk even has like its own query technique, what we call like SPL. Similarly, if you'll see Grafana doesn't hold any native query technique. It's completely dependent on what source you are adding and working on it. So, for example, if you have two different sources, uh, like MySQL, you are ingesting to Splunk. Similarly, you are ingesting to Grafana, and then you have another data source as part of like you can say CloudWatch based data ingestion. So over Splunk, you are also ingesting CloudWatch logs, and over Grafana also you are ingesting. So on Splunk, you have a single query technique to search from those data using SPL only. While on Grafana, you need to know MySQL for your SQL data. And for CloudWatch, again, you need to know JSON technique to write up the same query technique behind that particular source. So that's the core difference. And Splunk has a limited trial license which can't be utilized for any production data, while Grafana is a open source based solution you can utilize for like any production data, subject to you want to gonna like have support other than community support. I hope that helps.
Yeah, Sumit.
Okay, so we'll move forward from here, uh, and then we'll move into uh, like this program is all about enabling everyone here or who will be moving forward onto Grafana, and they will understand Grafana. They will be in a position to utilize this tool within their own environment for POCs or for their day-to-day work. Okay, that was the core purpose. Okay, so we'll move with the user administration and workspace management within Grafana, how it helps to segregate your data even after like falling onto the open source solution end. And if you are admin, if you have been provided with like managing your you know tool as a platform engineer, then in that case you can utilize these user management concept too. And then we'll move with the alerts and notification. Again, this is the area where most of the users and platform engineers focused on. So first is when Grafana were introduced, at that time it was not taken up by most of the organization because of its limited you know capabilities and some sort of like restriction onto the core areas where more work onto the manual side. But with the introduction of 9.0, currently it's 10.3, which been recently launched. We'll kind of like focus on 9 major and then minor version, because from 9 onwards it all started with like newer concept. We'll kind of like look on to the earlier versions too so that we can build the concept. But majority of option will gonna like get into the 9 version. And so within that we have a notification channel concept being introduced, uh, through which we can effectively manage the alerts and where we want to route them. Okay, from there onwards we'll start entering into the Grafana advanced phase, that is understanding the plugins, how we can utilize plugins, and even if someone who is interested wanted to deep dive, uh, they can leverage the SDKs available by Grafana to build their own custom plugins. But building custom plugins will not be included here. This is sort of like a completely development based program, and either I see that that is yet planned. Okay, we're gonna like learn about annotation, how we can incorporate that within Grafana, and there would be some additional as mentioned like context available where we'll be utilizing with the dashboards and trying to leverage or make our dashboards more meaningful. Moving forward with this, we'll gonna like talk on to the integration. Integration would be more on to discussing about uh, how we can utilize Grafana within an environment where we already have certain existing tools, and how we can integrate this to like any existing tool available within the organization. And then as mentioned that we're gonna like deal with Grafana open source, and we're gonna like look on to the container based implementation too. We'll use Dockerized Grafana. for implementing a container-based, infrastructure. Again, we'll deep dive further when we'll build up like all these understanding. We'll deep dive further onto the performance tuning, performance tuning in terms of like managing Grafana, and as well as like if we are incorporating some additional capabilities or some additional product offering from Grafana, how we can performance tune all this for a better platform management. And if we'll try to simulate some sort of like issue as well, um, within our infrastructure, so that it appears more onto the near real side of what we observe into day-to-day production scenarios. And last thing, I'll gonna like share for sure onto the real use case studies what I have picked in last 5-6 years of using Grafana, and we're gonna like incorporate some additional inputs if anyone have, and we'll put that into the practice as well. So this is what the program will gonna like be all about. I'll take a pause here to hear out like any other input from anyone here.
Like I have a question, like how the practical sessions would happen. It will go hand on and like every day it will go, or it will be at the end of the sessions, or somewhat like after 2 weeks or 3 weeks. How it gonna be?
Yeah, so as I mentioned that we're gonna like have some initial conceptual build up, but most of the program will be completely on demos and practical hands-on sessions only. So nothing like that will be spending like half of time into understanding the concept and then deep diving onto the labs. We'll do it like parallelly. We'll start with like, for example, we can take one of the module, and so if you'll see here, alerts and notification, or any topic. I'm just taking it a random out of this all. So alerts notification. So initially we'll learn that what exactly alerts, and how these notifications can be enabled, and then immediately we'll start with the lab, setting it up with a quick demonstration, and then kind of like a quick question to the people who will be on the other end to set it up onto their end. So we'll make it like more kind of like hands-on based sessions, less on theoretical stuff. So every day we're gonna like have lab session.
Okay, thank you.
The
Yes.
environment and all, like the application environment that where we test, that and all, we'll be using a open source one. Or,
Yeah. What we can do if everyone have like so if everyone have kind of like understanding onto the AWS end, we can utilize AWS. I'll kind of like request out like when we move forward with the confirmation, we'll share a detailed pay where they can set up AWS account for themselves, a free account, and there we'll create a lab environment for Grafana. When it comes to uh, like application or data sources, we can simulate with some sample application.
so
Again, the
that's
lab,
again with a free account only we can do everything, correct?
yeah, we can even use if we, like if everyone won't be comfortable with going with the cloud, we can use our own laptops for
Hmm.
setting up Grafana, and we can do the whatever labs will be coming forward. We can perform that too on laptop lab also.
Okay.
Sumit Tulsiras here. Are we going to cover any topics related to Jmeter integration with Prometheus and from there to Grafana like that? You have any sessions
Uh,
or only from Prometheus to or InfluxDB or Prometheus, anything.
Yeah, I would like to know like what are the tools are there in market that we can integrate with Grafana. I just want to know the overview like what are there and how we have to do and how can we do that.
I mean, most of the integration options should be available. Uh, but with the open source solution, uh, there are like certain restriction. So for example, Splunk is one of the enterprise solution, right? So Grafana does offer Splunk integration, but with open source, it does restrict open source solution based integration only. Okay. So that restriction we have to, keep in mind while moving forward, that we might be not getting opportunity to integrate a enterprise level solution during demonstration. Okay, this is pretty much restriction what we can say.
But
But
Jmeter we
yes,
can do, right?
yeah, Jmeter integration I need to look on it, uh, that whether it support Grafana open source,
No, it
that I
will
need
It's,
to
support.
look.
it supports. Uh,
Mhm.
Actually, I tried to integrate with Jmeter with Influx using some Jmeter inbuilt test plan components, and from InfluxDB, it was very difficult for me to integrate InfluxDB with the Grafana. Finally, I could able to
Okay,
achieve that connection, but I could not able to get what exactly I required to achieve in that dashboard view.
okay. So it's a not a direct integration. Or what you have like added, it's a InfluxDB based integration. So
Yeah,
Jmeter to
from
InfluxDB and then from InfluxDB to Grafana.
yeah, all the data that is there in generated in the Jmeter, it will be returned to the InfluxDB,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time series along with the
yeah,
response
got.
times. But
Hmm.
it is from Influx to Grafana, I could not able to integrate it properly as per the requirements.
Okay. Yeah, InfluxDB integration, we will gonna definitely do in our upcoming session. That will be covered.
Okay.
So we can even look on to that particular use case.
Okay. Okay then. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And
Linux servers
anyone?
also we monitor, right?
Yes.
Like CPU, disk load issues.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna like utilize, as mentioned, Grafana is a visualization layer. What it does, it gives you a real good visualization capability for your backend data, which is coming from any cloud solution or any OS solution. It could be Windows or Linux. To pick those information, there would be like two options. Either you can use any other monitoring solution to gather those information and then get them integrated with Grafana, or there is a capability within Grafana too, what initially Madhu were talking about, the full stack observability concept within Grafana, where different products offered by Grafana, which all can be utilized to provide those insight. Other than that, we have open source solution that will gonna like cover uh, like Prometheus based, which will be able to give us those all infrastructure metrics. Yeah, we'll be doing that as well.
So I have a question here. Someone from this call they asked right how to integrate or something InfluxDB. So are
Mhm.
we monitoring InfluxDB? I mean the database data on Grafana, or is it same like Splunk? Like we can monitor anything?
Yeah,
Is
as
it
mentioned,
particularly for database?
as mentioned earlier too, Grafana is a visualization layer, okay, and Splunk is a full-fledged solution. So when I say like full-fledged solution, it does gonna like give you opportunity to monitor anything onto the centralized level. While when you deal with like Grafana, it does require a backend system where your data will gonna like reside, and through that backend system, it will gonna work and provide you those visualization or monitoring capability. So InfluxDB, if we have from where we need to read the data um, to provide a visualization to using Grafana on, if we'll see back to uh, Splunk, what Splunk does, there is a add-on or app, what we refer DB Connect, that will help you to fetch all database related information. So it's still native to Splunk, but when it come to Grafana, it's dependent on a backend source that is InfluxDB.
Okay, got it.
But InfluxDB is the only, like, it's a kind of a time series where we pull the metrics from the other application servers, right?
Yeah,
It is just to hold the data.
correct, correct. Yeah, it does store your data in time series based format.
Yeah. Through Grafana, we can fetch it into dashboards and the logs.
Correct, correct. Again, we'll be writing up queries, but that will be not uh, what we can say based on to Grafana. It's somewhere based on to the SQL structure, like SQL queries only.
Okay. So, in this, I mean, down the line, are we discussing like a Grafana and other APM tools? Like we have Elastic APM, right? So, are we discussing any comparisons or any pros and cons of the tools? Anything
Yes,
like that?
yes, yeah. We'll gonna like as mentioned, we'll gonna like discuss limitation, comparison. We'll even gonna like look onto, and we'll gonna like look onto how Grafana will be a better, like in which area it will be a better solution. That too.
Okay.
So in that case, like Sumit,
Hmm.
I'm getting my voice echo. Priyanka, can you please go on mute? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, sir.
Yeah. So in that case, as Grafana is more into kind of a dashboarding, fetch the data from the time series database and it will display. So in that case, how it will fit into like observability concepts?
Okay. So as mentioned, Grafana is also offering its product, like different products, which can utilize for pulling up all those three different pillars what we talk about Grafana, and through that we are achieving or fulfilling the requirement of observability and referring it as a observability solution. That's a good question actually. Uh, I'm able to read through your confusion that if it's a, like a
Mm,
visualization layer, how it is enabling someone to meet the observability needs.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone is looking forward to making Grafana as like totally observability solution, then they need to purchase or procure some additional products from Grafana if they are natively want it to be like observability solution within their organization.
Oh, okay. So again, it's a kind of a paid services, but it's available.
No, like those will be open source solution.
Hmm.
It's nothing to do with like that it will be paid because it's been majorly funded by CNCF and other consortium which contributes onto the open source end. So what it makes it to at definitely certain extent it's free, but if we are looking to leverage onto a production grade observability solution I'm targeting, if we'll see, like observability as an observability solution, then yes, we need to procure some additional licenses. Same goes to Splunk, Grafana Enterprise too.
Okay.
So we'll kind of
Okay.
like
But
look on to all
Splunk
these.
is not a
Mhm.
I mean, free edition, right? Splunk is, I mean, it's, we need
Yeah,
to,
Splunk. Yeah. Splunk is an enterprise
yeah,
based solution,
enterprise. Yeah.
and it has like a very aggressive pricing concept, or
Yeah.
pricing
Yeah.
model, we can say.
Hmm.
In Grafana, we can monitor like Kubernetes parts, deployments, everything, right?
Yeah, Grafana is loved like a solution for visualizing Kubernetes based infrastructure. So it's one of the highly adopted monitoring solution you'll gonna like see when it comes to a container based infrastructure, especially Kubernetes based infrastructure, you can say.
You configure that one parts, deployment.
Uh, Container based implementation we'll gonna like see. Kubernetes based implementation, okay, we can include that too. Not onto the extended end, but yes, we can include that too. These will be like falling onto the very high level of understanding Grafana, because those will be more targeted on your platform engineering side. But yes, we'll gonna like cover that too. We'll look onto that implementation as well.
So, yeah. Okay. May I know what is the class timings?
It will be subject to more enrollment, and yeah, based on to the ISTRs only, what we are
Hmm.
looking forward to as of now. But yes, subject to participants' input. That is something you people can have a discussion with the uh, platform management team, and
Hmm.
they will give you more insight. I think there is flexibility.
Okay.
How many
And
days it will take to complete the course sessions, all the sessions?
15 hours we are targeting, but it
Oh,
can be up and down.
okay. Generally 15 days roughly. Okay.
Uh, as mentioned, like it can go beyond that if we'll
Okay.
make it like interactive, subject to like more question, and then we are trying to resolve them. So
Okay then.
it can go slightly up, or we can even conclude them little early. Yeah. So standard
Okay.
or approx time what been concluded so far is like 15 hours.
Okay, got it.
So, how it will be the like in future if we need any just a kind of support in terms of real time where we see any challenges in utilizing this after this course I'm talking about. So will it be provided or does it again cost additional?
I mean, support has definitely a different channel to
Mhm.
uh, move on. But if that will be something we can discuss, we'll kind of like have a even a community
Yeah,
forum.
over the one-on-one call only. Say, suppose I am trying to implement this
Okay.
in my work location. I have some challenges. So,
Yeah. That has like a separate model of interaction, the support model.
okay, that's not
Yeah, that
included.
because that is dedicated support what
No,
you
no,
are
it's
looking
not like a
forward to.
continuous support. Just say, suppose if you have like 10-15 minutes, if we can able to discuss, is do we have that kind of free support after this course, or again it's a kind of a
I mean,
charge
if it's
included?
subject to be resolved quickly, or it's
No.
subject to like for some basic information, you can utilize the community forum what we're gonna like have
Mm-hmm.
uh, with the enrolled participants. Even they will get to know, so that it'll look more meaningful. If it's something which looks to be confidential,
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to give time to it, but again, this is subject to my availability.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I'll be available, definitely I'll welcome all those requests, and we can discuss on that too.
Okay.
Anything else, if anyone have to ask?
So when is the tentative start date? The course?
We are targeting it to start early March.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, for either like first week or late first week or first like early second week max.
Mm. Okay.
And as mentioned, okay, as mentioned that we are not just focusing on AWS based labs. We'll gonna like utilize some other techniques too, where so for example, if you'll see this is Grafana. This is open source Grafana, and this being hosted on my own personal laptop, which is window based. So even that is doable now. Okay, and this is pretty much you know like capable to deal with understanding Grafana.
If you would like to
So,
use the AWS solution also, so that we can learn with free AWS account, or do we need to purchase
Yes,
anything?
yes. We can do that with the free AWS. We're
Okay.
gonna like even not onto the greater extent, but we can talk even about AWS managed Grafana services, which is altogether a different partner-based service provided by AWS.
Okay.
Yeah, someone else were about to ask something.
yeah, so if we are doing it in our laptop, how we are ingesting data, like what would be the data source?
Yeah, for that again, like we can follow through our program. That can be done. It's just integration, and that's like enabling certain firewall rules onto our laptop. And
Okay.
yeah, it will be not recommended to use office laptops because there'll be hardcore security, protocols being implemented, and it'll prevent to have smoother experience of lab on laptop. So personal laptop would be recommended ones if someone is interested to do that on their own laptop. Okay, so I think we are good here to close our uh, demo as well as the demonstration session of this program. Before closing out, last call would be if anyone have, because we still have like 5 minutes.
Okay, Sumit,
Yeah,
I mean,
month only, right?
just quickly jump into like what dashboard you have in terms like in how you can, I mean, quickly demonstrate on the monitoring and observability for a few couple of seconds. I mean, with the
Okay, so
data
what?
stream already been piped in for Grafana. Okay, so just to have a glance on the data visualization and kind
Mhm.
of just take help us in with one example of monitoring and one example of observability, because we were like
Okay,
taking a lot of questions, but we haven't went to the demonstration of the demo for the product.
yeah, I mean, I just had it to showcase that it's doable on laptop. I don't think I have any sort of like data available, but this is how
Mhm.
the UI looks like. Okay, this is how Grafana UI looks like if someone
Yeah.
who haven't been through yet. And from here you'll see like data sources. So if you'll see, I have added this, but this is not functional. Else I would have like shown you. Uh, so this is where we generally integrate any data source. And again, using that particular data source, we can create some sort of like dashboards, okay, and represent what we are looking forward to. Now coming from back to like the requirement onto the two ends, monitoring and observability. So as mentioned, observability depends on three pillars. Okay, so if you are trying to implement observability using Grafana, so in that situation we can have. I'm just giving you a scenario, or taking one of the past implemented form. So if you are trying to implement observability using Grafana, then we have two options. One is either we can take the products of Grafana itself, or second, we can depend on some uh, like already available solution within the organization. So for example, if we have AppDynamics for APM, Splunk for logging, and for traces, we have any solution we can take, like OpenSearch in AWS, or Yager as one of the like another open source solution offered by Uber. So all these can be integrated with Grafana. Now your data will be on one platform, and you can leverage all these to build out right meaningful dashboards to represent your system inner state, and that needs to be managed. Generally, Grafana is of utilized more by developers, where they know certain behavior of the application and quickly analyze them using a quick integration. So that's the one way. Second would be using open telemetry based concept, where open telemetry based implementation will enable you to have OLTP protocol based all symmetrical observability information, traces, metrics, and logs, and that can be again integrated to Grafana. Uh, I really can't show you the production based. I do have certain implementation, but that is confidential actually. But yes, these are the different two techniques what can be utilized. I'm not sure that at what extent Madhu it does, answers your requirement here within this short span of time. But moving forward, for sure, what you are looking forward to, that will gonna like somewhere or other way visualize.
Okay, so because I was just looking, already you have something synthetic in place, so where you have loaded with data, and I thought like you can help us in visualizing a certain amount of KPIs for monitoring and observability in terms of the use case.
Definitely, like as mentioned, that we have a dedicated module to go through use cases, so where we can discuss about that. And through these labs and all, we'll be implementing or we'll be focusing on best practices, where it'll look more onto the uh, real environment, and not just kind of like theoretical stuff, or demonstration which are not getting utilized in the market.
I see. Okay, that's fine. Sumit.
Anyone else? Any input before we close our session?
Batch started at any date or continuously we can go this time only.
Um, didn't quite get you. Is it like the dates you are looking forward to, that by when we are going to start?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so as mentioned, I believe Amar were looking for the same input. So we are tentatively going to start early March, or maybe like first week, or late by second week for sure.
I mean, is there any chance, like, can we start next week or something like that? If all the participants are okay, and your availability. Can we start little sooner?
That again would be subject to enrollment and participation. But availability is little challenge in upcoming time. But yeah, we'll see if there'll be right number of enrollment. I think that I'll gonna like adjust with and try to start it early.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll not
Just try
promise
to
it.
see that.
I'll not be like totally giving you confirmation that yes by next week. But yeah, we can look on to this to start it early, uh, subject to like two major side I mentioned. One,
Yeah, yeah.
confirmation of enrollment and availability.
Sure, sure.
Okay then. I appreciate everyone for joining us, and we'll look forward to participation and understanding Grafana onto the deeper end. If anyone have any further question with regards to enrollment process and all, they can simply reach out to the group channel what been already created, and once there will be confirmed enrollment, there will be separate community forum will be created, which from where we'll continue with you know our day one program.
Sure. Thanks, Sumit.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Sumit. Thanks a lot. Bye. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.